Ma'am, have you started the recording? All right, I can hear it. Um, 1 second, three, two, one, and your time starts now.
So our idea is Nature Box, and Nature Box is a very simple solution to two problems that a lot of people today are facing related to sustainability. One is the increasing use of fertilizers and pesticides in uh, farming, and no, currently we're on the first slide. Is the increasing use of fertilizers and pesticides in farming. And also the second problem is how hard it is, especially in cities like Delhi, to dispose of your food waste. So what ends up happening for most people is that when they eat something and they end up generating food waste, like peels or leftover food, that food goes into the dustbin, and that dustbin is not segregated. And even if it is segregated, this all usually ends up landing in the landfill. And this leads to a lot of waste being generated that is not normally generated. The other problem, of course, fertilizers and pesticides. As we all know, the food that we eat today is filled and grown mostly by fertilizers and pesticides. In fact, a very small percentage, not even 1% of the food of the world is actually grown organically without either fertilizers or pesticides or yeah. So our idea is Nature Box, and Nature Box looks to solve all of these problems together. Um, so our idea is that we will have these boxes. Please, you could show the boxes. And in these boxes, we will get organic vegetables from farmers who we would be associated with. So they would do organic farming, and we would deliver these organic vegetables and fruits or produce in general to the doorsteps of the customers. These boxes will be made out of aluminium, which will be 100% recycled, and it can be recycled again after use. And in these, the waste will be delivered to the doorstep. Once they can get the boxes, and they can keep those boxes for up to 1 week, after which we will come and we will collect the boxes. And for that 1 week, not only will they use all the produce from these boxes, but they can also put all of their food waste in the lower reaches of the boxes. And then they can return these boxes to us. Once we have gotten these boxes and the food waste inside, we will compost this food waste, and we will return this food waste back to the farmers who will use it as compost. And this will allow the farmers to also uh, do organic farming, as they will be able to get compost that we are making from organic products. So as you can see, this solves both the problems at the same time of the organic farming, and also of the organic and also of the food waste. So how would we be making our revenue? In this model, we would be making our revenue not only by selling the products, but we would also be making our revenue by selling the compost that we get. And that way we can have two different revenue streams. And it would be a subscription-based model as well, that if you have to keep it for a week, the box for a week, then you would have to subscribe to the our product. And we chose the name Nature Box because we felt that not rather than food box or compost box, as this is not either about food or about green box, it's about nature, and you're eating natural and you're also helping nature at the same time. And the line we were using to describe it is grow what you eat. That you are not only are you eating the food, but also by composting your matter, you are also growing your food indirectly. So yes, and with this, I think we end up presentation.
All right, great guys. Now you can stop sharing your screen, and now it's going to be the time where you guys will basically the judges will cross question you, and yeah, and let's see how it goes forward. They'll try to gain a better insight into your business model and how you have thought for it to be a lot more realistic, to see how it will actually pragmatically be placed. And of course, they will give you their insights to help you further if you do choose to take this to the next level. Should we start with Diksha?
Yeah, so thank you so much, team, and Vardaan and Ananya. Job well done. Some areas may require a little more clarity from my end, like when you're talking of this box, it reaches to the consumer with the organic waste or organic food.
It teaches the consumer with the food, and then they keep it for 1 week. And in that 1 week, all the food waste that they are generating in the kitchen, they put in the box and then they return it to us.
And then that you convert it into the compost, right?
Yes.
So that means you are targeting one, the consumer with the organic food, and other, the farmer with the compost, is it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So farmers who want to do organic farming and also consumers who want to eat organic.
Right, right. So have you, and what is the capacity of this box? Have you worked out on the capacity of this box?
I think it would be a 1 meter by 1 meter box, an aluminum box, so it would be quite light and it would just have producing.
No, but when you are working out that kind of strategy where you are, giving it to the consumer in the aluminum box, though the box weight or the, box volume may not be very high, but you also have to see what kind of capacities can it hold, and for the logistic purposes, like when it reaches to the consumer coming back with the, with peels and the waste, food waste, how are you going to cater to the logistic cost? And plus, will that only cater to the area around fields, because there is going to be huge logistic costs involved in this entire process. So that is one aspect I think you people have to work out. Secondly, I would have appreciated, if you would have taken one, area, geographical area, come out and you should have come out with some kind of statistics on what kind of produce can be in that area, what kind of wastage figure is there, so that to bring in some kind of background to this entire activity. Because when we say that it addresses this problem, so we need to understand how big the problem is and how far will you reach to address this. So those kind of things need to, you need to narrow down on those aspects. Maybe start small, start with one location, then think of the scaling up, how it can be scaled up to other areas, and what kind of, people, what would be your resources, what kind of people can get involved in this kind of movement, whether it can, cater to one cooperative, farmer cooperative or something like that. So those are the things I think, those are the areas which should have been handled in this. But yes, it's a great start.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Diksha, would you like to cross question them further? Do you have any other further questions?
No. I think I let Amar also, ask them a few things.
Sure. So Amar, we're going to move to you now.
Sure. So firstly, very good idea, I would say, very relevant into today's world, hitting the SDGs. One thing, and what Isha, I actually noted down those points as well, so I'm not going to dwell on those. What I would want to know is, when you talk about your, unique value proposition, I mean, you say grow what you eat. So it is majorly focused on the consumer part of your business model, right? It is not talking about the farmer side. So that is one observation that I had. And it should be more of, so your unique value proposition right now looks more like a tagline than a proposition, right? So it should encapsulate your problem solution in a way, and it should be just one sentence, not multiple sentences. So need to work on that. Other than that, other point that I had was on your competitive advantage that you mentioned. So it seems like this is more of a first mover advantage, right? Where you're saying we are one of the first firms. And the other part that I wanted to clarify was you're talking about the cashback. And I'm looking at your lean canvas right now. I know you didn't talk about it in the presentation, but this cashback is again focused towards the consumer. So I wanted to understand what is the, like, is there any other sustainable competitive advantage that you are bringing other than the first mover advantage? So I'll just, leave it at you for your thoughts, and then I'll come to question.
So I think mainly in this, the first mover advantage would, since it's more of an idea, so the first mover advantage would be the main advantage that we would be having in this point at this point, because especially with organic farming, it's so easy for anyone to do it. So it would mostly be the first mover advantage only at this point. And as for that, I think that when we would be returning the compost, that would also, we would be selling the compost back. We would not be returning it. So that would also be another revenue stream that we would be having. And if we would be associated with all these farmers, but we would also be associated with all these customers. So when we are saying cost of boxes, that's actually a subscription cost. So there are different revenue streams that we have.
Okay, and coming to the target market segments right now, it looks like the entire world is your TMS. Okay, farmers, health conscious people. You need to focus, like Iksha also mentioned, really need to narrow it down, pick up a little geography, and then kind of farmers. Within farmers also you have categories, right? Big, small. There's some focused only on certain crops. So you need to dwell into that, and then on the consumer side, also you need to identify, I'm seeing the younger lot are more, health conscious today, millennials and the Gen Z. So if you can, customize your target market and, make it more relevant, that would really help you. Otherwise, what will happen? You'll be like shooting in the dark, right? So that is something. And what other than this, I was looking at is how does your business model hit the SDGs and which one are you catering to?
So we'll be catering to nutrition and good health, and also by composting and recycling and not being harmful to that, it would also be catering to life on land, since we're using less fertilizers and pesticides, and that is of course helping life on land and life in water. So.
Okay, and I think you can also include climate action in that. I don't know. I was just reading through, I think number 13 also, because when I was reading a little bit of composting and I wanted to understand, see, when you talk about this business idea, right, composting also has disadvantages. Okay. But it has more advantages than disadvantages. So what was like, how do you plan to tackle those challenges? And if you've thought about it, great. And what are the improvement areas? If you can, put those things, that can become your competitive advantage also, just apart from being a first mover, in the market. These are the things that you should think. Why, right? Why today a farmer has not thought about this composting process? What are the challenges they face, right? And once you identify that need or the challenge in the farmers, or even, on the consumer side, that is when you can make your business model really strong, compelling, and concise and crisp.
So
team, I also think that like I also agree with that was that when I read that tagline, I was not very clear what the whole idea was, because that tagline is, you are talking more of getting the compost as a plant feed. And somehow it was missing out that whether we are growing what we are eating. So obviously some kind of rework needs to be there. And when we are talking of, that composting, because that is the major part of your entire proposition, and what kind of technology is involved in that, and how that can be a advantage to whoever competitors are there in the market. So you have to come out with that base of technology for that composting, and obviously some kind of cost working needs to be there, because one, you're giving out, suppose I say that I buy your 1 kg of produce at a certain price, you're providing me 30% cash back, and then there is a price involved in conversion of the compost, and how much is the gain to the farmer, how much is my contribution to the entire thing, and what kind of gain am I getting with that 30%? Because why would I buy that organic produce from you, not from your competitor? So come out with smaller, simpler thing, because some working at a very short this thing frame, and then you can think of the scale.
Right. So one of the things that I just wanted to say is that when we were talking about the aluminum box as well, one of the reasons that we had the drawers was because there would be a slight space between the different drawers, and then they can be stacked. And that's actually one of the ways that a lot of composting happens in modern day. It actually happens vertically in large boxes, and so the composting itself will happen in these boxes, and they can be easily stacked, and these boxes can be kept. So that was the way that we were planning on doing.
And are there any number of days in which this compost gets, there are some kind of number of days with the when you deal with the
compost for normal house food waste generally takes, if you want to do it properly and you want to keep it free of insects, it generally takes between 1 and 2 months.
Right.
So these boxes,
I do feel 3 months, 90 days. I do have some idea it takes around 90 days.
well,
And you have to control certain conditions. The pH conditions need to be controlled and those kind of things. So how would you manage that in that box?
So these boxes can be stacked, and they can be kept, they can be stored very easily in like a place. So in general, in like a cool, in like a room, a cool room that can also be exposed to sunlight. So it also would need to have like windows.
And what would be the final form of the compost, whether it would be sold as a cake form, pellet form, or it would be, something like a silage. So it means, has those kind of things been thought of in the plan? Because that will give you the cost. Like if you're talking of the organic fertilizer, that's not a new market. But if you're talking that, okay, this food waste will, we will develop some pellets out of that. So then that kind of comparative will come into the market, that because this is the, pellet form, it is in the dry state, it has a good shelf life, or maybe when you do that segregation of the food waste, this might be high in certain minerals or proteins, those kind of things. So that those kind of, can be your unfair advantages in the market.
Thank you.
But a good thought process.
I just had a couple of points. Firstly, you're talking about, reducing the use of chemicals and chemical fertilizers. So is there a way you think you can actually build into this model at a very high level? I think for that, you'll have to first define the target market. But by how much percentage you can actually reduce that? So let's say in Delhi, in some village, today the farmers are using maybe, let's say 90% chemical fertilizers. And with your model, in 1 year's time, they can bring down that number to, let's say 70%. If you can actually build this is like a great your value proposition, right? When you quantify what you're doing and talking, benefits and costs. I don't know if you can do that, but if yes, that'd be great. My other question is on your revenue stream. I know you mentioned 3 of them. So boxes, subscription-based model, and then the compost. So wanted to understand boxes. Are these like 3 different revenue streams? Compost, I understand. Boxes, probably you're meaning the organic farm for people to consume food. But subscription-based would be, common to both farmers and consumers, or how is it, or something different? Just wanted to understand that.
Okay, so the cost of the produce in the box will be according to whatever is being ordered by the customer, but the cost of keeping the box for 1 week and then putting all your food waste in it and then returning to us would be separate from that. So the subscription cost is actually for like using it as their food waste deposit and then returning it to us. And that's what the subscription is for. So they'll get to keep it for a week, and then the next week we'll give them another box with the produce that they have ordered. And so the produce price is only according to what they have ordered. And the box is for the subscription.
Okay, so if I understand this correctly, so consumer gets to keep the box for 1 week if they are registered under the subscription-based model. Okay. And if a person is not part of the subscription, then that person just like keeps the box or returns you at the same delivery point of time, or how does it work? Or
No,
that
so
box is like,
if you're not subscribed, then that would not be open to you. Then it would just be like a delivery service. But it's the composting and the returning of the food waste is also very much a part of the entire subscription.
so if they're not subscribed to you and you're delivering them in your aluminum boxes, and then those aluminum boxes are not coming back to you then, right?
No, we're not delivering to people who aren't subscribed. So if you're subscribed, that is like a bare minimum. And then apart from the subscription, you can choose to buy extra vegetables. Or if you don't want to buy the produce, then you can just get the box and then put all your food waste in it and return it. The subscription is really just for being able to get rid of your food waste in a sustainable way.
And what is the subscription model? Means would there be a cost apart from what they're getting, and some period?
Yes, so the cost is for being able to keep the box for a week and then putting the thing in it and returning it to us. The additional cost can be however much produce you order can be put into that, and that will be an additional cost. But really the subscription is just for them being able to get rid of their food waste in a sustainable way.
Okay.
I think you'll have to flush this out a little in future. I'm not going to focus much on the financial part, but like overall, I think the idea is really good, very relevant in today's times, and especially post-COVID. You also need to focus on the supply chain side of things, because that has also been disrupted, right? And it might create problems in years to come. So your logistics and operational, what Iksha spoke about earlier. So yeah, and ensure it's not a cumbersome delivery. Right, it has to be really convenient, and convenience is really important to today's customer. If I as a consumer, I'm ready to pay more, provided I get convenience, right? So convenience is right up there, top 3, I would say, for all these consumer-facing industries. I think,
all right. So, all right, great. Amar, but before we conclude this whole discussion, could I please request you to provide them an alternative unique value proposition so they have an example to understand that aspect for their particular business, if you could do that?
Yes, so like I mean off the cuff is like, you know, if you can include some like a statement which talks about grow what you eat is good, but it's only half, you know, it's only on the consumer side of things. But it should be something also, like I spoke about, you know, reducing the use of fertilizers, unique value proposition for the farmers, which would eventually be, you know, related to their profit benefits and then reduced costs. So something on those lines, I'll have to think probably what would be that sentence, but the thinking has to be on these lines, where you encapsulate the core, like that is your core, this is what you're going to offer. Okay. I don't have like some line like right now. I can think about it and let you know later for sure. To Smriti, I can definitely think about it. I just don't want to give something, you know, misleading.
Right.
Yeah,
And it
or
should not be
something
too
like
long also. It should not be too long.
something like food residues as plant feeds or something like that, means then we have to, bring that kind of wow factor in that how this plant feed is good.
Yeah. All right, then I would like to thank a lot, thank everybody who participated in this discussion, and we can move to the second team. Yeah.
Thank you, team.